Is it a clone or something better? Today we're taking a look at S-Voice for the Galaxy S3, which is the voice-enabled assistant inside Samsung's new Android superphone. And we're pitting it up against the iPhone 4S and the Siri feature. We're going to walk through some common scenarios to see which one performs better. So we'll start with the weather. What's the forecast for tomorrow?
It doesn't look so nice tomorrow. The forecast.
Okay, so right now we're going over Wi-Fi to a mobile hotspot. And you can see that it's kind of nice that we get the illustrations here. We don't get a ton of detail, but we get more days from the iPhone 4S. Let's try something else. But both of them were equally fast in this test. Set an appointment for tomorrow at noon for lunch with Dave.
Okay, I set up your appointment for tomorrow.
Okay.
Are you ready for me to schedule it?
So you can see that both gave us the option here.
Okay.
And we added them.
Meeting with Dave Brody is scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, and in this case, the iPhone actually identified someone in our contacts, although it could have been another Dave. So let's try something else. Let's try getting directions to somewhere else in New York. Get directions to 1410 Broadway, New York, New York.
Here are directions to 1410 Broadway, New York City.
So in this case, we've actually left the S-Voice application on the Samsung device. But that's actually a good thing because it's searching for GPS right now and it's going to give us turn-by-turn directions. In this case, we did sort of exit Siri, and now we have our directions here. So the difference is that we're going to get actual navigation, although right now the S-Voice is trying to glom on to GPS, which is going to take a little bit. But the reaction time was similar, but you can do a little bit more on S-Voice because it ties directly into turn-by-turn navigation. We might not get that feature until iOS 6 for the iPhone, so we're going to have to wait a little bit there. Okay, so let's try something else. A lot of people just want to know what restaurants are around them and get some recommendations without having to go into an app, so we'll try that right here. What Mexican restaurants are around here?
I found a number of Mexican restaurants fairly close to you.
Places I found in what Mexican restaurants around here.
So you can see that S-Voice was a little bit faster, but Siri, I think when iOS 6 comes out, it's going to be a little bit smarter because it's going to integrate things like Yelp recommendations as well as open table reservations. You'll be able to make it right from the screen. But right now, the S-Voice has a little bit of an advantage because you can voice dial directly, and that is not an option that's available on Siri. But where Siri does have an advantage is in terms of contextual intelligence. So if we wanted to switch gears, what about steakhouses?
I found a number of steak restaurants fairly close to you.
So the difference between Siri and S-Voice is really that contextual intelligence. Apple's assistant knew that we were still talking about restaurants and switched gears, whereas S-Voice really struggled and asked us to search the web. For now, S-Voice on the Galaxy S3 does have a couple of unique advantages. One is that you can actually speak Twitter updates. Although it's coming to iOS 6, it's not going to happen until the fall. Twitter update. I'm testing the Samsung Galaxy S3. Okay, so as you can see, it got it mostly right. You would think that S-Voice would know how to spell the actual name of the phone. But we could have sent that directly from here, and you can see your image is also integrated, so that's a pretty nice feature to have. And there's a couple other things that S-Voice has that's somewhat unique that we don't even think is coming to iOS 6, and that's the ability to toggle things like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So what about Siri's secret weapons? Well, we talked about contextual intelligence, where Apple's voice assistant knows what you're talking about and can follow along, and it's more like a two-way conversation, and that's something that S-Voice simply doesn't offer. And it has a couple other unique tricks. So for example, if we want to ask a stock price, Microsoft is having a pretty good week so far, so let's see how they're doing. What is Microsoft's stock price?
Microsoft is down just a bit so far today, at $30.89.
Okay, and this is something that if you try to do it on S-Voice on the Galaxy S3, you're just going to get a web search. So this is something that's unique. And I think the other thing a lot of people appreciate is that Siri on the iPhone has a sense of humor, so you can ask it to tell you a joke or tell me a joke.
I can't. I always forget the punchline.
So, like it or not, Siri definitely has more of a personality and sense of humor than S-Voice. So if we have to sum this up, we would say in this race between voice assistants that Siri is a little bit faster, it's more responsive. There was a little bit of a lag or more of a lag on S-Voice. And even though in this particular test that we didn't really see that much in the way of latency, we have experienced a lot of server errors on S-Voice so far when going over 3G. Wi-Fi, not as much. But Siri has also had its share of problems in terms of responsiveness. Where S-Voice pulls ahead is right now is that it does a little bit more than Siri. It gives you options like the ability to toggle settings, and you can also post tweets directly with your voice. And it's really not going to be until the fall that Apple catches up with features like doing restaurants and movie listings and doing more with those things. But so for now, we would say that S-Voice gets the edge in terms of functionality, and Siri has the edge in terms of performance. This is Mark Spoonhour with Laptop Magazine.